Today we are going to talk about how to awaken our intuition. And have you ever just walked into a room and you kind of just knew what was happening? That is kind of a little taste of your intuition.
It's crazy.
And we have a surprise for you. Everybody has intuition. This is not a special gift that only some people have. Only moms. Moms aren't the only ones that have intuition.
Yeah.
We all have intuition. So we're going to discuss some ways to awaken that and help that grow and thrive and use it as an important tool in your life.
You're going to love it. Welcome back. We're excited today to talk about intuition. That's something both of us connect to and love. And we feel like it's such a brilliant gift.
Yeah.
We're excited to give you some tools and ideas of how to strengthen that gift of intuition and how you can develop it further. So the first thing to understand is that intuition is a way that the subconscious mind connects to and communicates with the conscious mind. And so we're pulling out information that we don't consciously know, and it's becoming a conscious, real thought in our mind. And so that in itself is fascinating, to be able to access what we normally wouldn't be able to think of or connect to. And intuition can be such a helpful gift in our life, just in our everyday lives, that to understand that each of us have this ability. Why wouldn't you want to sharpen and strengthen that skill? Because it can really assist you at times and in different ways. There's this amazing quote
I get so happy.
that Michelle found from Albert Einstein, and he said, "The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift." And so we want to help you understand today how this intuition is a gift in your life and how we can strengthen it.
Without a doubt. So sometimes when we think of intuition, it's like supernatural. I don't know why. We've all agreed and we've all decided it's supernatural. And it is not, because there is a lot of scientific studies and proof that this intuition exists. I remember watching a documentary once, and I think they were having the people that were doing it, they had to look at a picture and they had to write down if it was a happy picture or a sad picture. And when they had all these electrodes on, and so when they could look at the data later on, they could realize that they pushed the button the 10th of a second, just the tiniest amount before the picture even appeared. They were actually making that decision. So that is our intuition, and it exists in the frontal cortex of the brain, and it is a part of how our brain functions. It's an important part.
That's incredible,
isn't it? And also, it's like, and this is so giddy for people like us, it actually happens in the right hemisphere. It's on the right side, so it's creative, and it's art, where your art is, music, and your senses and emotion, and it's where that's where it's created. And if you think about that means that logic is not part of it. And that's what I think stops us using our intuition, because our logic comes in and we discount this intuition.
Yes.
And that's the awakening that we want to happen, is allow that logic to come in and do its part where it's needed, but not take over the intuition.
Yeah. And intuition can be maddening sometimes for really intellectual people, because you cannot prove it per se.
Right.
I would say intuition is more of feeling it. That's how the experience comes.
Yes, absolutely. So to awaken your intuition, one of the first steps that we would agree with is to stop and listen. Be still.
Yeah. And this was one of the trickiest things for me, because in the beginning, as I started to connect to my intuition and be aware of things that I knew and felt, I would think, I would have a thought come into my mind, and then I would say to myself, wait, did I just think that, or did that thought just come to me? And it's kind of a little process of learning that ebb and flow of information as it comes to you, but really to start being very present and very still and listening. That really is a key component to that awareness. I think we're getting messages often, but we're just not in a state to even be mindful of it. And so actually mindfulness is key to intuition, to really be present in the physical body, to be present emotionally and mentally in every way, and allow that information to flow to you, recognizing it's not something you may have ever been taught or told, or even something you should be able to know, but we do. Somehow we do.
When I first started tapping into my intuition, I would wake up in the middle of the night, like just randomly, and I kind of had made it a promise with myself that I would go out of my room and take time to be still. And it was easier in the middle of the night. I didn't have a ton of things going to distract me, and that's probably what helped. But as I would just sit there, and for the first few minutes, you're thinking, what am I doing? And let's see, did I forget everything? You're going through the list of stuff of the day.
Yeah.
But as that would calm down, and it was kind of like, you have a jar of seawater, and the sand just kind of goes to the bottom and it separates into the two. I would have experiences and receive information or understandings, I would call it, in a way that blew my mind. A picture would form, and I would just follow that picture, and I would learn truths about myself and about the universe that I don't think I would have learned any other way, or through books or through Google. It was the most rewarding time period of my life. I loved that time period of strengthening that and looking at that and spending, it was a focus for that time.
Yeah. And intuition really means that you're knowing things you wouldn't normally know.
Yeah.
And so however that information comes to you, even feeling that in your gut, I feel like as a mother, that's where my intuition comes out the strongest. A child says, oh, I want to go to that party, or I think I'm going to go hang out with these friends, and instantly you're like, oh, that doesn't, something doesn't feel good about that, and there's no way to know that. There's no basis of that feeling, but in your gut sometimes you can feel it. And tell us the science behind that.
Well, the structure of your intestines and the structure of your brain are the same, and the receptors are there's more receptors in fact, what do they call it, the neurons, the network of neurons. There's more in your stomach than in your spinal cord or your nervous system, and that's part of that's for your brain. It's part of your brain. So even the brain has the most, but then your stomach has these neurons, their memory. I know we had a doctor tell us once that we were trying to figure out what was wrong. We had stomach issues. We had all these kinds of these physical problems with the stomach, and this good doctor said that the stomach has a memory. And so when you have stress in a stressful time period, the stomach remembers, and it's just in this habit of being upset. And so we need to reset it. But it was all an emotional or a stressful thing. It was the stress of the mind. It was the thoughts that were causing the stress, and so they're very connected. So when we think about thinking with our gut, it's real.
Yes. So we've talked about hearing, kind of listening, where you might hear information. We've talked about feeling it in the gut, but there are other ways that you can feel that intuition in the physical body, and this is something I experience when somebody's talking, and then all of a sudden I just get chills or goosebumps. It's like my intuition is witnessing to me that is truth. I know when that is truth. Maybe you'll get a little shiver down your spine. It'll tingle all the way down, or your heart starts racing, something like that. Even your breath can change when you're aware of something.
It's the Like
Yes,
when you audibly do
yes,
it, you go, oh, I got it. You know,
yes,
that's your intuition striking hot.
yes, yes. And it's important to recognize that when that intuition is witnessing to you or teaching you about something positive, you're going to feel uplifted, you're going to feel light, you're going to feel peaceful. It's going to be a very clear and nourishing feeling. Where sometimes our intuition warns us about things that are not so good for us. And for me, those are very different feelings. Like I get a pit in my stomach, I feel heavy or tense.
Flat. You're kind of flat.
Yeah.
I think I even feel like I become stupid a little.
Yeah.
My thinking just gets interrupted a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's kind of a churning.
Yeah, churning.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember one time I had a serviceman show up to the door. We had called them. We had asked them to come out and fix a broken lock on one of the doors of our house. And as I opened the door and looked into his eyes, he was on time. He was in uniform. He was with the company we called. There was nothing suspicious about anything that he did. But instantly, when we locked eyes, my knees turned to jello. And I just knew this was not a good scenario and he should not be fixing the lock on our door. And it was hard to trust that intuition because there was no basis for it and no
logic
for it. And then we'd called them out. So what do I do?
Right.
What do I say? He didn't look scary. He didn't, nothing was out of the ordinary, and yet that feeling, that intuition was so strong that I actually told him I just had to make something up and say, I'm so sorry, we're going to have to reschedule this. What is your minimum service fee? It was $75. I just wrote out a check for the $75 and sent him on his way, and
I think that was the cost of that, if nothing else, was you trusted yourself.
Yeah.
And I think we tell ourselves we got to learn to trust ourselves.
Yeah.
I think every time we don't, it can build up.
Yeah.
And so it didn't matter what the logic was. You had that feeling and you honored it, and therefore it has done it's not like you got into a habit of never letting anybody in your house.
We've had 50 service people come before that and 20 cents. And I've never had that feeling again or that inclination, but
you next time if you feel it again or but you trusted that, and we need to learn to trust that intuition and not go into the questioning of what, why, or whatever and try and bring the logic into it. It doesn't need to. They don't need to coexist.
Right.
They don't need to coexist.
Right. So as we talk about intuition, the intuition comes from, in our chakra language, this is our third eye. This is also the frontal cortex that Michelle was talking about. But as we look at the chakras, this is actually one of my favorite chakras.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a geek about the third eye chakra. I'm a fan.
Chakra geek. Yeah, that's what we are for sure.
Yeah. But let me tell you why. Because I realize our natural eyes see the physical world around us. But our third eye, it is our eye that can see the unseen things in our life. So the things that we have never witnessed with our natural eye, we're going to try to envision here, which is so cool because anything creatively, right? You've never seen it before, but you're trying to create something. I even think of our faith. A lot of times, faith is believing in something you haven't seen. So there's a measure of that.
Yeah.
Also creating our future. If you think about that, we're trying to create something we've never seen. We don't know how it's going to play out. But I think that also comes from the third eye. So Michelle's going to walk you through a little exercise to open up that third eye chakra and help you.
So if you think about it too, like when you go to think about, if I were to ask you, let's create your best day, you might go, And you actually look up into that third eye and bring attention to that third eye. So we're going to imagine that we even can see like what would be considered an eyeball in the middle of our forehead. And if you watch, there's a video on opening your third eye chakra that's going to be similar, but that's a little bit longer of a technique. But just imagine that eye is closed and that you're going to open that lid. And as you open that lid, you can almost even imagine the bright light. If it hasn't been something that's been wide open, you might feel a sense of that bright light as it blinks and gets used to being open. And as you sit there for a few minutes and feel that eye get used to the light and feel comfortable being open, then imagine and use the sensation of that third eye. Imagine it being able to look to the left and look to the right and feel those sensations in that part of the brain. Imagine that it looks down and back up, and just feel it kind of blink as it adjusts to being open wide. You can tap on the third eye. Don't poke it. But try to just bring some awareness to that. And do that whenever you're wanting to. Just bring the sensation to that part of your forehead, and then you can kind of feel it activate, feel it open, feel
great.
It separate from the rest of your mind.
That's so great. Well, the last thing, real quick, just to tell you, with your intuition, to be mindful of a couple of things. The first is that sometimes our mood can affect our intuition, or our connection, I should say.
Yeah.
So when you're feeling really down or feeling really low, and you feel like you're having an intuitive thought or prompting, I would just double check that, because we tend to, when we're down, we tend to have a connection to thoughts that are also down and ideas that are down. So be mindful of that, and just make sure that you use common sense with your intuition as well, that you don't get some crazy idea and think it's good when your mind would tell you, no, this could be dangerous, or this probably isn't healthy for us. And remember that our intuition is a gift for ourselves, and to make sure that we're not trying to intuitively live another person's life, always thinking we know what they should do, or thinking that we know their answers. We're each here getting our own answers and living our own experiences. But thank you for watching. We hope you'll comment below. We would love to hear your intuitive experiences and share ideas on how to strengthen that intuitive ability within each of us.
Yeah, so don't forget to subscribe, and also check out thewholenessnetwork.com for lots of other ideas and resources for you.
Yeah. Thanks so much.